Hi folks, welcome back to our read through and discussion around the XCOM Archives. Specifically today we're talking about the Long War II concepts and the resistance. Haven management. In Long War II, the commander will take over management of the worldwide resistance movement against the Advent administration. In regions XCOM has made contact with, you will use the Haven management screen to direct the priorities of resistance cells. Individual resistance members will be listed on this screen. Resistance members can be assigned to one of four tasks: supply, recruit, intel, or hiding. Note that rebels assigned to new jobs will not begin work until the following day. Well, that's fair enough. Alright, so this is a completely new screen, resistance management. This is the list of resistance regions currently owned in this test run through I've been doing. This is our people, this is the Haven team. And there's a Haven advisor slot there, and this is the way that you change their current mission or job. We've got them, someone recruit, someone intel, hiding, you can see supply, etc. in there. Now onto the supply job. So this is one of those jobs that you can set the people in the Haven, the resistance personnel within those Havens. The supply job. Resistance personnel on the supply job are focused on scavenging supplies from around their regions. More rebels assigned to the supply job will mean a larger supply drop each month. Note that over time in a given region, the supply job will grow less effective as the resistance scrounges the most easily recovered material. Ah, that's interesting. So it looks like you'll get a spike in the amount of supplies available from a particular region, which then tails off over time. Now that is interesting. Okay, so that's definitely worth bearing that in mind. So pay attention to that, folks. I'm going to have to remember that, so it will become less over time. So over time, I guess it might be more important to start putting people into recruit or intel. The recruit job. Resistance members assigned to the recruit job are busy in the communities looking for volunteers willing to join the resistance. Recruits may either join the local Haven, or if they have potential as an XCOM trooper, they will enter the pool of potential recruits for soldier training. More rebels assigned to the recruit job will mean faster recruiting of both resistance members and soldiers. If recruiting in a liberated region, you will have a small chance to find a scientist or an engineer willing to work for XCOM. Wow, that's amazing. So over time, if you've got somebody in the recruit job, there's a small chance that they may be able to get an engineer or a scientist. If you got one of those for free, effectively, that would be really, really good. I mean, not for free, because that is a resource that you're using to do that, but it would feel amazing upon generating a scientist or an engineer. I'm going to try my best to have somebody on recruiting as much as possible, I think. Apart from that, you could also recruit additional resistance members to join that local Haven. So the recruit job is obviously very important. I'm getting the feeling that each of these jobs is very important, so it's just another set of difficult choices to be making in XCOM, which is what it's all about. I love it. Okay, the intel job. Resistance members put on the intel job will look for information on Advent and alien operations. They will generate a small income of the intel resource, but their main function is to detect alien activities and alert XCOM to vulnerabilities in the enemy security network, leading to mission alerts which XCOM can send troops on. Ah, that is very, very cool. So this one change here has beautifully made logical sense of the entire way the resistance works in XCOM 2. I absolutely adore this. I think it's amazing. So we now have active control of the resistance in a way. We know who the resistance are. We give them tasks. We are managing the resistance. We are in charge of it. It's not this formless blob of unknown people that's out there in the world anymore that we only interact with every so often when we get a new job or a new mission from them, or when we get we have to go and defend one of the Havens. But now we are the resistance. We're the living, breathing embodiment of the resistance. We're in control of them. We're directing them to do what they can do. And in this way here with the intel job, we're telling them, hey, do what you can to find information about what the hell Advent is doing, what the hell the aliens are up to, feed that information back to us, and then we can decide what to do with it. So that's amazing. I'm so over the moon, so excited about this game. Okay, more resistance members on the intel job will detect more missions, and they will often detect them more quickly than they otherwise would. This gives your troops more time to infiltrate those targets. Alright, this gives your troops more time to infiltrate those targets, which is vital to generating survivable missions. Important, the Avenger can assist greatly in the intel job in a single region. Scanning at the Resistance Haven site will produce intel and missions equivalent to the contributions of several unpromoted Resistance members. Okay, so that's a big one. The Avenger can assist greatly in the intel job in a single region. So the Avenger scanning on a site, we used to be able to go to Resistance HQ and scan for intel, which would just give you the intel resource. But now, scanning with the Avenger at the Resistance Haven, it will produce intel and missions equivalent to the contributions of several unpromoted Resistance members. So several has got to be at least 3, but you can assume, like 3 to 5 or something. That's really, really good. So the important thing to take out of this intel, and I've spent a bit of time on this because it's a really important concept, I think. The important thing to take from this is the more people that you've got on intel, the more alerts that you will get for missions. So if you want to get some more missions underway, or you want to make more progress in the game, you want to achieve more things in terms of leveling your squad, in terms of getting more engineers or whatever it is that you can get from missions, you need to have a lot of people on intel and or consider scanning with the Avenger at the Resistance Haven. So that's very important. The other important thing about this is the more people that you've got on intel, the more intel resource that you will be accumulating over time. So therefore you can contact other resistance regions. And the last thing is that the more people you have on the intel job, not just the more missions that you get, but you will detect those missions more quickly. So let's say, for example, that there's a mission, and I'm not going into the way that the mission deployment works right now and the infiltration, but suffice to say that you may well have more time to infiltrate the missions. Now, I did have a mission come up in the test game, and I only had 2 days in which to infiltrate that target, which wasn't enough, or less than 2 days, which wasn't enough for even one squad member to infiltrate the target. So if I'd had more people on intel, that time limit that I would have had in order to deploy successfully with a bigger squad, or even with one person, would have been greater. So the more intel, the safer the missions are going to be, and the less trouble you're going to have with those missions, and the more missions you're going to get. So that's a very, very important one, as well as recruitment being important, and as well as supply being important. Alright, the hiding job. Resistance members who are put in the hiding job will produce no resources, but they will also avoid any unwanted attention from Advent. Busy havens are more likely to attract Advent retaliatory strikes. So putting rebels on the hiding job will lower the haven's profile. That is very cool. Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. And now what's also so beautiful about the way that they've set this up is, before, these Resistance Haven missions where the Advent would send out all their troops and try and take out one of the havens, before they were sort of randomly decided upon on different, depending on which regions you were in contact with or whatever, wherever you had Resistance network, the Advent would send in troops and try and take it out. But now they're going to be targeting your Resistance havens specifically based on which ones are causing them the most trouble, which ones are sticking their necks out a little bit, trying to scrounge for extra information or resources, or doing some good stuff for XCOM. So it's sublime the way it all hangs together now. I think this is just so amazing. Okay, next one, Haven operating capacity. Each haven only has the capacity for a maximum of 13 Resistance members at that haven to be assigned to the supply, recruit or intel jobs. The rest will be treated as reserves and put into the hiding job. Okay, that's cool. Advent reprisals. In retaliations and similar missions, Resistance members will appear during tactical combat. Depending on the operation, they may sometimes be armed, although they will be less effective than XCOM soldiers in combat. XCOM soldiers are also sometimes required to activate a Resistance member by moving close to them, giving the player control of their actions so that they can move to escape areas as necessary. In addition, XCOM can recover certain Advent assets and repurpose them for Haven defense, granting additional units to assist in combat. Alright, so some important things in there. In retaliations and similar missions, Resistance members will appear during tactical combat. So we will actually see our Resistance contacts sometimes on the battlefield maps. And depending on the type of mission, they may sometimes be armed, but they won't be as effective as XCOM soldiers. They'll probably be rookie level or even less perhaps. Then it's also saying that XCOM soldiers are sometimes required to activate the Resistance member, and that will be very much like, you know, in the Resistance Haven missions previously, you would go to the little circle that surrounds them and you would go and activate them, and then they would just run off a few squares and it would say that they were saved. Well, it sounds like now they've made a change, and I always thought that was weird. I thought it was weird that they would just sort of run off a little bit and it would say, yeah, they've made it, you know. We would assume they made it to the Avenger. Sometimes they wouldn't even go anywhere. It was a bit dodgy. But now sometimes you may have to actually run them out of the map. You may have to take them back to the Avenger, or you may have to put them to a safe area of some kind, or sometimes they may join the fight with you. So all of those things are just hats off to this. It's absolutely amazing. In addition, XCOM can recover certain Advent assets and repurpose them for Haven defense, granting additional units to assist in combat. Can't wait to see what that is. That sounds really exciting. Alright, Resistance promotions. Over time, Resistance members who can become better at their jobs. Resistance members who have gained a level will be marked with an asterisk on the Haven management screen. Expert members who have gained a second level will be marked with an additional asterisk. These promoted rebels will produce more results on any job they are assigned to, and they will also receive XCOM perks for use in combat. Very cool. Very cool. Okay, so it looks like they can gain 2 levels over time, and they'll be designated that by the 2 asterisks that they will gain. That they can also get better at their jobs and better in a fight. Both those things, all those things are wicked. Alright, XCOM advisors. XCOM may assign a single advisor from its staff. I showed you the slot that's available for that in the management screen. XCOM may assign a single advisor from its staff to each Haven to assist in various tasks. The advisor may be assigned by clicking on the photo frame in the top left of the Haven management screen. Assigning an engineer will generate bonuses for the supply job in that region. Assigning a scientist will generate bonuses to the intel job. Assigning a soldier will generate bonus to the recruit job. The soldier will also appear on combat missions involving Haven personnel. The soldier will also hunt for any Advent infiltrators in the Haven. That's cool. That's very, very cool. Higher ranking soldiers will generate more bonuses. The soldier should be outfitted with gear on the Avenger before departing for the Haven. If a Resistance Haven is entirely wiped out by enemy action, the only way to recruit new rebels is to station a soldier in the region. Advisors may be unassigned from the Haven by clicking on their portrait, as long as Advent doesn't have any active reprisals against the Resistance underway in that region. Wow, there's a lot of great information in there. So the advisors can do 3 different things. The 3 different types of advisors you can deploy in your Resistance Haven are able to have 3 different job roles depending on what type of advisor that you stick in there. Alright, and that relates specifically to the 3 job roles you can assign your Haven personnel to. So assigning a soldier generates bonuses to the recruit job, assigning a scientist generates bonuses to the intel job, and assigning an engineer gives bonuses to the supply job. That's very important to remember that. Also, the soldier will hunt for Advent infiltrators in the Haven. Fantastic. That's very, very cool. And amazingly, the soldier will appear if there's a Resistance Haven mission and be a bit of extra defense for the Resistance should Advent come down on it. So I'm not sure if this is going to be a viable strategy, but one thing I'm now considering, having read this, is going to be, I'm going to probably want quite a few intel job people in my Resistance Haven, certainly early on, to get going with the missions, to generate some intel so we can contact other regions. And I'm going to want to have at least one person on recruit because I want to get the chance of having more engineers and scientists, and to have the chance of recruiting additional members for the Haven. The more people we can get for the Haven, of course, then there'll be pressure off. We'll be able to split more people across these jobs, right? But I think I'm going to install, even if I'm going to have only one person on recruitment, I think I'm going to install a soldier to the Resistance Haven, because at least in the very initial stages, there's going to be a Haven defense mission at some point that's going to kick off, and since we've only got one Resistance Haven, it's going to be worth having a soldier in there for several reasons. One is because he's going to immediately appear in the map and be able to fight straight away, and two, it's going to help the recruit job, which we're only going to have one person actually working in that job for. So I think that's going to be my ploy to start off with. But there's some really interesting stuff in there. We'll see what the tactical strategies come out of that as we play the game. I hope you found that useful. That brings us to the end of part 2. Please do let me know if you've got any feedback or comments. I'll be back very soon with part 3.